home a couple of days after Easter Sunday, and it's very wet and cold and grey outside. Nonetheless, it's not affecting my mood at all, because I'm still really happy and joyous after Easter Sunday and the wonderful weekend that we had as a church. We had no less than 64 people come to our Good Friday experience across Friday and Saturday, the 2 days we were open. For those who weren't there, you can watch on our YouTube channel just footage of walking through that experience. And we had one lady commented, she said never before had she known exactly what the Easter story meant until she walked through those stations and that experience in our chapel. So it's great if we can impact people like that, people who are searching, who are wondering about who this person Jesus is and what is the Christian faith. And so we're hoping that we can keep doing this each year. And thank you also to those that came on Easter Sunday. We had an amazing celebration with Basic Church. I don't know in the end how many people there were in the building, but it was wonderful just to see the chapel full, wasn't it? With such a sense of celebration, celebrating the risen Lord. So on that note, those of you who were there, you may remember Ben Kumar gave the message, and he was asking the question, what does the resurrection life of Jesus mean for you personally? And so I thought it'd be good to just spend some time now as little church groups just to talk about that. What does the resurrection life of Jesus mean for you personally? Now, I know that's a big question, so give yourself a minute or two just to think about that in your own time. But then you might like to share it with a person next to you or in the group. What does the resurrection life of Jesus mean for me personally? Well, I could sum it up in one word: hope. Knowing that Jesus is the risen Lord gives me hope in the present, knowing that this world, there's more to this world than what meets the eye, that there's more to this world than just matter, things floating around in space. It's not a random, meaningless reality. There is purpose and meaning, and that gives me hope. I also have hope for the future, knowing that the kingdom of heaven is a reality that is going to come eventually into our world on this earth. So the Bible reading we have today is an Easter reading. It's not from the Gospel of Mark though this week. It's actually from the Gospel of John, chapter 20, verses 1 to 18. So if you can find someone in your group to read that passage, that would be great. So it's all very well for us in 2022 as Christians to understand the meaning of Jesus' resurrection in our own lives and the significance of him rising from the dead. But for the early disciples, imagine how confusing it was when they discovered, as Mary Magdalene did, that the tomb was empty. It must have been very confusing and perplexing. And Mary of Magdalene is there weeping. But I wonder, as Jesus encounters her, she was the very first person that he revealed himself to. And I wonder what the significance of that is. It would be good if your group can discuss that. Why do you think Jesus chose to reveal himself first to Mary Magdalene? I'd like to offer a couple of reflections in response to that question about the significance of why Mary Magdalene is the one that Jesus reveals himself to first. And I think to understand John 20, it's helpful to read Genesis 3. Now, I know that sounds unusual, but in Genesis 3 it describes the fall of humanity. And there are some similarities and crossover points between the two passages. Firstly, there were two gardens. Humanity's fall occurred in the Garden of Eden, a place of intimate fellowship with God. After Adam and Eve disobeyed him, the Lord cursed the ground and banished them from paradise. On Resurrection Sunday, Christ appeared in a garden to Mary Magdalene. And that reminds us that now, because of his redemption, intimate fellowship with God is available again. It's like Jesus reopened the doors to Eden, to paradise. The second point is there were two women. Sin entered the world when a serpent deceived the first woman, Eve. On Resurrection Sunday, after Christ had defeated Satan through his atoning death, Jesus appeared first to a woman, one who had previously been in bondage. We know from the scriptures that Mary Magdalene had been possessed with 7 demons, and Jesus released her from those. Mary of Magdala is the New Testament version of Eve. Her life reminds us that Jesus offers us total deliverance from the bondage to the enemy. And my third point is there were 2 sets of angels. After Adam and Eve fell into sin, God banished them from the Garden of Eden, and he guarding the entry back into the garden were 2 angels with flaming swords. On Easter morning, 2 angels appeared in the garden, not to banish humankind from God's presence, but to invite us to behold the risen Messiah. Why are there so many parallels between the 2 stories? Well, the Holy Spirit wants us to know that in God's great plan, the death and resurrection of Jesus reversed the effects of the fall. While Genesis 3 describes pain and slavery to sin and alienation from God's presence, John 20 reveals healing, deliverance, and full restoration of fellowship with the Son of God. So I'm not going to take too much more of your time now, because I'm conscious that the leaders will be facilitating a discussion around the options that we have for gathering together in the coming weeks. So I'll hand it over to them now, and Catherine and I look forward to seeing you when we're back from our leave. God bless.